All right, Ross, we'll start with last night's game where, as always, Kirk Cousins balls out in prime time to beat the San Francisco 49ers 22-17.
I want to start with that. I am so happy that Kirk Cousins played that well in prime time. You know why? I hate lazy narratives. And listen, I know there's some evidence that he has not played as well in primetime games as he has in Sunday 1 o'clock games. I get it. But the people that really have no insight to offer, the people that just rely on crutches, Kirk Cousins in prime time. Oh, Kirk Cousins stinks in prime time. I love the fact. What are they going to say now? What are they going to say now the next time Cousins plays a primetime game? I love the fact that a guy can overcome narratives like that about him that just become the default thing that everybody says. So thank you, Kirk Cousins, for making all of those people that provide no actual value some logic that they need to now figure out moving forward. As for the rest of the game, well, both teams traded turnover. Good timing for me to talk about Cousins throwing an interception early. Both teams traded turnovers early, but the Cousins interception was kind of right in Jordan Addison's hands, and Charvarius Ward ripped it out. More on that later. The McCaffrey fumble, which doesn't happen very often, but it's happened a couple times now in the last 3 games, followed that up. Hard to be more impressed with the Vikings offense. No Justin Jefferson, and the way they marched most of the game up and down the field against that Niners defense. I got a lot of questions now about this Niners defense. It's one thing to barely lose to the Browns and whatever. Your field goal kicker misses a kick. But to let the Vikings go up and down the field against you? Maybe the Niners defense isn't quite what we thought it was. And that's even with the Vikings having to settle for a bunch of field goals. This Jordan Addison kid can play. He got the first touchdown, 7-0. I will say this. Brock Purdy's a better athlete than I realized. Just watching him move around, he had a nice run. So that's a takeaway moving forward for the Niners. And thankfully for the Niners, their kicker, Moody, made a big kick late in the game, 50-some yards, because he missed another easy one against the Vikings. And I tweeted this last night, Jack. I'm at Ross Tucker NFL on every social platform. It just feels anecdotally like most of the time you don't get a real good investment when you return on investment when you draft these kickers. To which everybody says, Janikowski worked out. Well, first of all, it's very debatable in my mind whether or not Janikowski was worth a first-round pick. Okay? Secondly, people never seem to grasp the fact that if you're pointing out one person for whom it was successful, you're pointing out the exception, not the rule. There's a lot more kickers that it didn't work out for than there are kickers that it did work out for. Think about Aguayo, the Cade York kid the Browns just drafted. We'll see what ends up happening with Moody, but man, it happens more often than not. I feel like the teams regret having drafted a kicker. Vikings got bogged down in the red zone a bunch in the game. The Niners, I will give them credit. They had some impressive answers. That one drive after the Vikings went up 10-0 where McCaffrey scored, because that's all he does is score touchdowns. Unbelievable. The other things that jumped out to me, I guess, was Brock Purdy got picked off twice in the last 5 minutes. You kind of felt like, okay, the Vikings are going to blow this. Purdy's going to lead them down for a touchdown, and the Niners are going to win. Purdy wasn't able to get it done. Not once, but twice. He got picked off by Cameron Bynum. Purdy not able to come up big in those situations is interesting for what it could potentially mean moving forward. How about the fact that the Vikings, Jack, tried the tush push or whatever twice and couldn't do it? I'm old enough to remember the night before when that play was unstoppable. Literally the night before the play was unstoppable. And now the Vikings get stuffed on it twice. Hashtag LOL. And then that's about it. That's all I have in that game, other than Cousins, mighty, mighty impressive.